I put some of the world's most famous ghost photos through the test to see if the paranormal is now just a prompt. What do you think? Can AI recreate a ghost? This is case number 1, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. The legend of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall goes back much further than the photograph that eventually made her famous. One of the earliest and most famous claims involves King George IV. According to the story, while staying at Raynham Hall, the king woke during the night and saw the figure of a woman standing beside his bed. But things get considerably stranger in the 19th century. In 1835, during a Christmas gathering at Raynham Hall, 2 visiting guests, Colonel Loftus and a man named Hawkins, reportedly encountered a spectral woman as they retired to their bedrooms. She was dressed in a brown satin dress. The following day, Colonel Loftus claimed to have seen her again, only this time, much closer. He described a ghostly, glowing face with dark, empty eye sockets. And apparently, that wasn't enough to convince everyone to stay out of the haunted room. The following year, in 1836, Captain Frederick Marryat decided he was going to investigate the haunting for himself. Marryat was a Royal Navy officer, and he apparently suspected that the supposed ghost was nothing more than a trick designed by local smugglers to frighten people away. So he deliberately took the room where the apparition was said to appear, and he brought a loaded revolver with him. For 2 nights, nothing happened. Then came the 3rd night. Marryat was walking down the dark corridor with 2 young members of the Townshend family when they noticed a light approaching from the opposite end. At first, they assumed it was simply one of the ladies heading toward the nursery. But as the figure came closer, Marryat reportedly realized that the woman looked exactly like the figure in the portrait of the Brown Lady. She stopped outside a door. Then, according to the account later told by Marryat's daughter, Florence, the apparition raised the lamp toward her face and grinned at him. Marryat apparently had enough. He drew his revolver and shot her in the face. The figure vanished instantly. The bullet, however, did not. It passed through the outer door and lodged in the panel of another. And that was apparently the end of Captain Marryat's attempt to debunk the Brown Lady. I know there are skeptics, but this is going to the extreme. From other stories I've heard of the time period, many people were shooting at ghosts. Different times. There were other reported sightings over the following decades, but none quite as dramatic as Marryat's encounter. And then, almost exactly a century later, came the event that would make the Brown Lady one of the most famous ghosts in the world. The photograph. It was September 19, 1936. Captain Hubert C. Provend, a photographer working for Country Life magazine, was at Raynham Hall with his assistant, Indra Shira, of which later proved to be an alias. They weren't there to photograph a ghost. They were simply photographing the historic hall for a magazine article. They had already photographed the grand staircase and were preparing to take another shot when Shira suddenly noticed something strange. A vapory form appeared to be gradually forming on the staircase, and it looked like a woman. Shira reportedly told Provand to take the photograph. Provand raised his camera. Shira triggered the flash, and the shutter clicked. When the photograph was developed, there she was. A translucent, vaguely human figure appeared to be descending the staircase. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall had finally been caught on camera. The photograph was published in Country Life on December 26, 1936. And from that moment on, the Brown Lady wasn't just a local ghost story. She had an image, a photograph that could be printed, examined, reproduced, and argued over. It quickly became one of the most famous alleged photographs of a ghost ever taken. Of course, skeptics have spent decades trying to explain it. Some have suggested a double exposure. Others have proposed a smear or substance on the camera lens. Another explanation is that the figure isn't a ghost at all, but a person concealed beneath a sheet, or even a statue that was accidentally superimposed into the image. Critics have also pointed out what appears to be a solid structure beneath the figure and what look like raised hands, possibly suggesting a religious statue rather than an apparition. In other words, there are plenty of explanations. One such theory suggests it was a statue of the Virgin Mary, superimposed somehow on the photograph. But none of them have managed to erase the image from the public imagination. And that may be the strangest thing about the Brown Lady. For centuries, she was a story. A woman seen in bedrooms and corridors. A figure glimpsed in the darkness. a ghost that was supposedly frightening kings, guests, and even a Navy officer with a loaded revolver. Even today, the identity of the Brown Lady remains part of the mystery. The most popular theory identifies her as Lady Dorothy Walpole, sister of Robert Walpole, who was allegedly locked away by her husband after an affair. According to the legend, she died of smallpox in 1726. But whether Dorothy is actually the woman in the photograph, or whether the photograph captures anything supernatural at all, is another question. Because after nearly 2 centuries of sightings, one thing is certain. The Brown Lady may have vanished from the staircase, but she never really left the picture. How does AI compare to the original? I gave an AI image generator this prompt. 1930s long exposure, grainy black and white film. A translucent woman in a Victorian dress descending a wooden staircase. In the 1936 original, the figure isn't just on the stairs. She seems to be part of the light refraction. The glow actually bleeds into the wood of the stairs in a way that suggests the way light actually bleeds into old film. The AI, however, treats the ghost as a layer. It's too clean. It understands what a ghost is, but it doesn't understand how 1930s film fails. The verdict? AI can replicate the legend, but it can't replicate the mistake. In 1936, this was a technological impossibility to fake without a darkroom and hours of work. Today, it took seconds. If the Brown Lady appeared today, we'd delete it in a heartbeat as a glitch. But in 1936, they didn't have glitches. They only had what the lens saw. There is bonus footage at the end of the video for you to debunk yourself. Onward with case number 2, the Wem Town Ghost. November 19, 1995. Wem Town Hall in Shropshire is engulfed in flames. Tony O'Rahilly, standing across the street, snaps a photo. It wasn't until he developed the film that he saw her. A young girl in old-fashioned clothes, standing right in the heart of the inferno, staring directly into the lens. This photo fascinated the world for 15 years. It was even authenticated by the Royal Photographic Society. To see if I could manufacture that same haunting contrast, I asked the AI for a young Victorian girl standing in a doorway of a raging building fire, 1990s 35mm film grain, low resolution, black and white at Wem Town Hall, Shropshire, England. The AI versions perfectly capture that unfazed look of the girl. But here is where the story of the Wem Town Ghost takes a turn that no AI could predict. In 2010, a local researcher was looking through old postcards in a museum and found this. It's a 100% match. The dress, the hat, the face. The ghost wasn't a spirit. She was a piece of a 70-year-old postcard that had somehow been echoed onto the film or deliberately placed there. This wasn't a supernatural mystery. It was a physical one. The verdict? This is where AI actually helps the investigator. When I look at my AI generations, I see patterns. When we look at the Wem Town photo today, we see a glitch that we now have a name for. The Wem Town Ghost teaches us the most important lesson in paranormal research. Just because you can't explain how it got there, doesn't mean it's from the other side. If case number 2 showed us how AI identifies a glitch, case number 3 shows us where the computer completely fails to understand the room. Case number 3. The Coventry Freeman Society. On January 22, 1985, the Coventry Freeman Society had an annual dinner at St. Mary's Guildhall. In a room full of people in broad daylight, nobody noticed the extra guest until the film was developed. A tall, hooded figure in a monk's habit standing right at the end of the table, praying with everyone else. This one is a challenge for AI. I gave it the prompt. 1980s flash photography, group of men in suits at prayer at a meeting in St. Mary's Guildhall, Coventry. A tall, hooded monk stands unnoticed at the edge of the frame. AI wants to make the monk the star. It adds shadows, glowing eyes, or makes him look like a movie monster. But look at the 1985 original. This figure looks solid. It has weight. It's casting a shadow on the floor. In fact, everyone in the room later swore that the seat the monk is standing behind was empty. The verdict? This is where it gets complicated. Today, I might think it was made with Photoshop. Someone just cut and pasted a monk into the room. Or perhaps that suit of armor that's in the modern photos was moved and someone put a cloak over it. But in 1985, digital editing didn't exist for the average person. The AI struggles to recreate the awkwardness of this photo. It's too well composed. The original is messy, it's crowded, and that hooded figure shouldn't be there. But it is. St. Mary's Guildhall was built on the site of an old monastery from the 14th century. Is this a residual haunting? An echo of a monk who still thinks he has a seat at the table? AI can give us the image, but it can't explain why a room full of people didn't see the monk right next to them. The location has other reports of sightings of a gray lady and a small child ghost. Case number 4, the backseat ghost. It is 1959. Mabel Chinnery is visiting her mother's grave. Before leaving, she snaps a photo of her husband waiting in the car. It's a mundane moment until she develops the role. Sitting directly behind her husband is her mother. But her mother had been buried in the ground just a few yards away for weeks. This is a portrait ghost. It's intimate. To see if I could replicate this accidental family reunion, I used this prompt. 1950s color film, man in a driver's seat of a vintage car, a translucent elderly woman with glasses sitting in the back seat, blurry, shot through a window. Look at the AI's version. It's too perfect. The woman in the back seat looks like a ghost effect. But look at the 1959 original. There is a specific kind of smear on the glass. Look at the mother's face. Does that look like a digital layer to you? The woman's glasses reflect the light in a way that matches the environment of the car perfectly. Experts have looked at this for decades, and they can't find evidence of a double exposure. The verdict? AI struggles with the human factor. In the original photo, the figure in the back looks solid. She looks like she's just there, waiting for the ride to start. AI wants to make it scary. But the 1959 photo isn't scary, it's heartbreaking. If this was a fake, it was a masterpiece of 1950s darkroom technique. Mabel Chinnery swore until the day she died that the car was empty. Could it just be some sort of reflection? Sometimes, on those very rare occasions, ghost photos are real. If you caught a late relative in a photo today, would you believe it was them, or would you immediately assume your phone's software glitched their face back into the frame? Case number 5, the Tulip Staircase Ghost. It's 1966. A retired reverend and his wife are visiting the Queen's House in Greenwich, London. He takes a photo of the beautiful tulip spiral staircase. He expects a souvenir of architecture. He returns to Canada and develops the film. What he gets is a nightmare, a shrouded figure struggling to climb the stairs, with both hands clearly visible on the banister. I prompted the AI with, high-angle spiral staircase, 1960s film, a hooded figure in a gray shroud climbing the stairs, hands gripping the black iron railing, motion blur. Look at the original 1966 photo. Those hands look almost skeletal, yet they have a clear grip on the iron. When Kodak examined the original negative, they confirmed it hadn't been tampered with. The verdict? The Tulip Staircase Ghost is terrifying because it's active. It's not just standing there, it's climbing. AI can pose a figure, but it can't quite capture the weight of this apparition. There's a struggle in the original photo, a sense of effort that shouldn't exist in a ghost. It's a possibility that it's a motion blur or a slow shutter speed, but he claimed no one was there when he took the photo. If it's real, the Queen's house has a guest that never checked out. Allegedly, there is a legend that a maid fell to her death from the upper landing and is said to haunt the location. What do you think? Notice the second figure. Some people claim they see a second, even more faint person behind the first one. AI completely missed that detail, and it's those accidental layers that make these photos live forever. Case number 6, St. Botolph's Church. In 1982, a photographer takes a series of shots of the interior of St. Botolph's Church in London. The building is supposedly empty, the doors are locked. But when the photos are developed, something is looking back from the rafters. High above the pews, a figure, often called the Watcher, is leaning over the edge of the balcony. I gave the AI this prompt. Wide-angle church interior, 1980s flash photography, a dark, shadowy figure peering over a high wooden balcony in the rafters, low light, grainy. The AI wants to make the figure the center of attention. But look at the 1982 original. The figure is barely there. It's just a shape, a head and shoulders leaning over the railing. It's the kind of thing you only see if you're looking for it. And that's what makes it so much more unsettling than an AI-generated ghost. The verdict? AI can't seem to simulate the human presence without making it look like a staged movie set. 6 photos, 6 legends. After testing them all, one thing is clear. The computer can copy the pixels, but it can't copy the context. It can't replicate the 1930s film chemicals, the 1920s postcards, or the chilling feeling of being watched in a locked church. Which of these 6 stands up to the AI test the best? Let me know, and remember, keep your eyes open, because the truth is usually 99% hidden. Are these photos AI-generated, photoshopped, or the real deal? You be the judge and let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoy these types of videos and other mysteries, the paranormal and abandoned places with a touch of history, please like and subscribe. I'll make more.